Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This match is going to be between Anytime and Reach, and I really feel like out of all the rivalries in the Heritage League, this is one of the ones that is less intense. Both rivals, but at the same time teammates, competitors, high-level Protoss guys for a long period of time, so I still feel like this is going to be a great match. But it's not like Boxer versus Reach, or Anytime versus Boxer, or Yellow versus Boxer. Feels like Boxer's in a lot of those rivalries. And at the same time, it's not like Bisu versus Stork, I would say. These guys have a lot of respect for each other. They're actually teammates right now. And I almost feel like this match is bittersweet as a result, because this is probably the last time we're going to see these guys play against each other, with StarCraft 2 coming out and all that other stuff. And if it isn't, we're probably not going to see them play against each other for quite some time. I'm expecting an exciting match, nevertheless, on Destination. And kind of speaking of that drama factor, I feel like there's a couple players that are out there in the league that should be here that aren't. So particularly Uav, obviously he's got the health problems, but Jelizerg is the one that really sticks out in my head. Jelizerg is kind of on the cusp. Obviously he's not one of the contemporary guys like I would say Bisu is. Bisu's kind of a young guy. Stork is kind of a young guy as well. But Jelizerg, he has a golden mouse, and I don't know how you can't have him in this league when he has a golden mouse. He is one of the pillars of StarCraft. Oops, Reach, starting at the 12 o'clock position, Anytime GM. I'm not sure why I'm deciding to say the clans. Starting at the 6 o'clock position in white. So red versus white. Reach appropriately in red, I guess. The aggressive Mantoss versus Anytime white Protoss. I've always loved Anytime. I'm not sure why that is. I think it's just because I've liked his style. He's always had kind of the calm, relaxed style of play. Him and Much has always had the determined style of play. Reach has always been kind of the aggressive guy who just kind of muscles his way through games. Anyway, maybe that's why I'm frustrated, actually going back a topic. Maybe that's why I'm frustrated against Toss Girl so much. A lot of people saying, oh, you're being misogynistic, and I would say, I just feel like she has a lackluster resume compared to the rest of the people here. She never won an OSL title, she never won an MSL title, and she didn't really carry her team. She's still a pro gamer. She's still the best female pro gamer, hands down. She would beat me 100 games out of 100. She'd probably beat almost everyone watching this 100 times out of 100, maybe 99 times out of 100. But she never took a championship. She never was kind of the go-to person for a team. So I don't feel like she's up to the level of competition, or I don't feel like she was a pillar of StarCraft. And speaking of that, ladies or women who are watching commentaries like this, first of all, you're awesome. Thank you for watching this. I love you guys. Well, love you girls. Just, you justify, you make me feel legitimate, I'll put it that way. I understand why females don't play some games, like Duke Nukem 3D, that's pretty misogynistic. Counter-Strike, a little bit more violent, a little bit more aggressive, but StarCraft I would say is the thinking person game. And I don't feel like there's any reason that there shouldn't be high-level female competitors outside from the fact there's just like a larger pool to draw from of men. And I'm from America, upside down. Nice! People from America, sup. That also kind of encourages me a lot, so way to go, dudes. Give a little bit of shout out to them. Anyway, yeah, I feel like women should be in the high-level competition, and I'm not sure kind of what's holding that back, at least for games like StarCraft, for Ire. Other games I understand again, you know, the more, I don't know, gun-heavy games, but this is really a thinking person's game. I think it should appeal to both sexes equally. Maybe I'm just biased towards StarCraft in that regard. So, anyway, whatever. I'll let that be what it is. This is Destination, of course, which is interesting. Protoss versus Protoss. I feel like you have to go 2-gate on your opening. Both guys playing down some anti-mana pylons. There's that first zealot chasing down the probe. I feel like you have to open 2-gate, because if you don't, you end up just getting run over, because you have those ramps that are right outside your secondary. So if you go 1-gate expansion or 1-gate tech, you have a hard time fending off basically the seal around your front door, and then you get isolated to 2 bases. And especially moving into kind of the fixed location, it almost plays like Terran versus Terran, Protoss versus Protoss because of the Dragoon as a result. And there's that second gateway for Reach. We'll see if the second gateway is morphing for Anytime. And yeah, he's going to put it, looks like, a little bit closer to his base. I think the cybernetic score went down from both players. I'm not seeing the cybernetic score here in this base. There's another pylon as well. Okay, sorry, that's the cybernetic score for Anytime. So actually Reach going for 2-gate opening before cybernetic score, and I'm getting a little bit distracted by all the rants I'm doing. 2 zealots already produced out in the field, and also the probe scout seeing everything. So never mind, there is a Psychor. I'm just going crazy. It's just pylon before the rest. So Ignore me altogether. I'm having trouble commentating this, I guess. 2 Zealots for any time chasing down that Probe Scout. Now he's getting a second gateway down. Yeah, just again, Dragoon's so difficult to kind of, if you can manage to get that that presence across the gateway, or sorry, across those ramps, you just end up in such a strong position. Finally, that first Dragoon out for any time. Let's see if he, oh, it's a race! The Zealot not quite there to block that probe in, so it looks like that probe is going to get back home. It will escape. Anytime looking somewhat disappointed by that. Looks like he's going to get his Probe Scout out as well. And it looks like he has one more Zealot than Reach does, so Reach may be thinking, oh, still a Dragoon chasing it down, so it looks like there's the rescue Dragoon coming out in the field. Maybe he's going to be able to get it. Half is, okay, yeah, finally the Dragoon in there to kind of rescue it. 2-gate tech I feel looks very popular. I still think you can do 2-gate expansion, but you have to do 2-gate, otherwise, yeah, and I'm not sure how many times I can say that in a commentary. Probe actually looks like it's doing something sneaky, maybe just going to lay a pylon here at the 9 o'clock slot. Shout out to that guy as well. Wow, we got a lot of foreigners here in the Korean area. Awesome, way to go. Hey, shout out to both those two guys. Anyway, it looks like Reach already getting some Dragoons up. It doesn't look like he's making any motions at expanding. Anytime, it looks like he's bringing out a probe, I assume to put down a Nexus. So we'll see how this works. I've got to assume, just knowing these guys' style, that Reach is going to try to be the aggressor right off the bat, where Anytime is going to play a little bit more of a passive game. And a probe, yeah, sneaking all the way back for Anytime, so Anytime might be trying to open up the minerals, or maybe he's just going to try to get a spot at the Dragoons that are hanging out at the front. Looks like he's going to back off it a little bit. It is fairly well damaged, but from that position, he could maybe do something sneaky. There's the robotics facility from Reach, so it looks like Reach maybe is thinking about probably going to go for a Reaver Harass. It's possible he'll go for a DT drop. I still assume he's going to go more for Reaver Harass against Anytime, especially on this map. Although Templar would not be a bad option, because getting early Sidestorm would be huge, because Sidestorm is brutal. Those bridges just absolutely depict play on this map, and when you can Sidestorm an attack troop across the middle of the field, it's just absolutely devastating. Reach going in for an attack across that southern bridge, and he's not really going to be able to accomplish a lot with this, so I think this is just mostly posing more than anything. Both players actually now taking their Nexus. I think Reach had his Nexus down a little bit sooner. It's hard to tell, though, again, because the commentators weren't exactly right there. And it looks like Anytime still is that probe kind of hugging the side, trying to check troops as they're going across. And there's the observatory first, actually, for Reach. So Reach not deciding to go for the robotics facility. And I think the robotics facility, yeah, it's going to come out later for Anytime, so at the very least Reach will have kind of the visual advantage, but he's not going to have the economic advantage, and I think that was a little bit more key. Now that probe backing off, let's see if those Dragoons decide to hunt it down. Doesn't look like it. So Reach going to be slightly economically behind, but I don't think significantly economically behind to really put him out of this match. But at least that's something Anytime can work with, and let's see if Anytime decides to, I assume he's not going to go for Reaver, putting down that robotics facility so late. Probably going to go Observer. It looks like Reach now transferring some troops and getting to that Citadel. And that is one thing for Reach, is if, I feel like High Templar, if you can get a larger High Templar force out early and just really use those first few Sidestorms really well, that can be the turning point in the game. I think that'll be the next turning point in the game. Is usually one of these guys is going to engage the other one as they try to leave the base. I can't imagine that both these guys are just going to go for a third base and just let the other player go in that regard. Someone's going to decide to get aggressive, and I think it's going to be Reach. And both these guys actually with completely mirror builds, except for the decision of when to put down their various emplacements. It looks like there's the Templar Archives. It's possible that Reach went for Speed Zealot a little bit early. Speed Zealot's not a terrible choice here. Again, I think Templar a lot more valuable, but Zealot's not awful, especially if you're going to go for a little bit more of a defensive posture. There's that robotics facility above that assimilator with that Templar Archives. So both players, yeah, again, just macroing up, both just playing some standard Protoss versus Protoss here. One of the nice things is I feel like some of the mistakes that Protoss make that you can exploit in the mid game is not having a very good Dragoon Zealot ratio. If you have just overwhelming amounts of Zealots that run in on you, that can be a problem. But on destination, you can really go Dragoon heavy just because of the kind of the blockades, the way they work. So you can be pretty Dragoon heavy, not worry about it. And it looks like Reach had that spot. He's going to have to back off, losing that Observer. So it's going to be a little bit in the dark here. Going to have to send either an extra Observer out or just play in the dark. And it looks like Reach, interesting enough, thinking he's going to be facing maybe a Reaver Harass here, so he's backing up and putting down a couple more gateways, which I'm not surprised. So rather than trying to risk it and go out and take a Nexus out in the field, he's going to pump a lot of troops, putting down some additional gates, going to go up to 6 total probably get some High Templar out, get some a little bit more of a Zealot trooping out. I feel like you got to go a little bit thinner on Zealots again than you would otherwise. And anytime producing High Templar a little bit sooner, which could really be an equalizer on those additional gateways. Also has a Dark Templar out in the field. Let's see if he takes that Dark Templar immediately to the 3 o'clock position to try to deny that base, try to play a little bit technologically, or if he tries to take an expansion of his own. Ooh, this is going to be critical, though. An Observer right along the way, and I'm not sure. Ooh, little probe freaking out there, and another gateway, so going up to 7.